We become very comfortable. We're working for somebody else and we're not pursuing our dreams. And I definitely said there needs to be a balance where, yes, I'm paying my bills, but also I'm pursuing something for me so that life doesn't just go past me and I haven't achieved something for myself. I'm achieving something for somebody else and bringing in revenue for their company. But what am I actually doing for me?
Another episode of I Am BeYoutiful Talks. My name is Renee and I'm your host for the talks and the podcast. I am super excited for this afternoon. I'll be joined with a business owner and just generally someone who knows a lot when it comes to making your dreams a reality and putting the plans and the goals and aspirations that you have for yourself actually into fruition and allowing them to actually take place. So as you guys know, I Am BeYoutiful is all about empowering and inspiring young women and just making sure that we as women are confident in who we are. We know who we are. We know the skills, and what we bring to the table really in regards to our gifts and things that we can bring to those around us to help inspire and empower others. So today is going to be really, really exciting. And yeah, I'm just super excited. I'm going to be joined with Maxine any second now. Hello.
It's been a while, Renee. I'm so sorry. I think it's the internet connection.
Is it
I don't know if it's me. I'm not sure, but I'm just glad I'm here.
Good. How are you? It's so nice to see you.
I know. We've been speaking over the phone, but finally we get to meet, well, somewhat in person in this strange time.
Oh, so nice to see you. Where are you now?
No, I'm just at the restaurant. I'm at the restaurant at the moment. So yeah, I'm hoping you guys can see me okay. Your lighting seems a lot better than mine.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's nice. I'm loving the different color lights.
Yeah, I thought let me bring the pink today, brighten up everyone's Sunday. Yeah.
Looking good. Before we start, why don't you give us just like a two-liner on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Maxine, as you guys know. I've also got a couple of businesses. So I'm a partner in a business. I'm partners with my partner at the moment with a restaurant in Southeast London. The restaurant's now been running for about a year and a half. So I can provide that information if you guys want more info about the restaurant. I've also got my own training company. So my training resources was birthed out of a bit of a awful experience that I had at work a few years ago. I was managing a large team of 10 and I decided, no, I can't be working for someone else anymore. Started to embark on setting up my own business. So I have the training and leadership company, and I also freelance for a company called KB Consultancy. So we're a consultancy team. We've kind of just put all of our skills together and offer like a holistic, all-rounded one-stop shop service for businesses and new businesses. So we have It's a Vibe. It's a Vibe Food is a restaurant. We've got My Training Resources, which is leadership and training and empowering women. And then you also have KB Consultancy. Oh, look, I've just seen that they've tagged us here. So yes, we've also got KB Consultancy that I work for as well. I'm a mother of one. My son is 8 years old. So my main job, my full-time job is obviously my first and foremost, I'm a mum. But yeah, and that's like me in a snapshot at the moment.
Wicked. That's a lot to take in. So I'm actually so excited for today because you're dropping things like, I've got a business here, I'm doing, consultancy. And I'm like, we need to learn about this. And it's so exciting to have someone who also is quite all-rounded in the business world as a whole. And I like the fact that you also said that, you don't just offer training courses, but consultancy, I guess, allows you to do things like one-to-ones as well.
That's right. That's the bit that I love, to be honest, Renee. That's the bit that I love because we get to really unpick what the barriers are for people setting up a business. And we can really look at how we can offer everything in one place. I know it's really tricky setting up a business where you feel like you have to go to different services. You can get burnt by one, but at least you've got everything in one place. So I really like to uncover all of the barriers that might be stopping someone to achieving what they want to achieve. Yeah.
Amazing, honestly, like a superwoman.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So my first question for you would have to be, what did younger Maxine look like, and how did you get to the stage of confidence that you're at today, in establishing yourself quite,
Yeah.
solidly in the business world?
Yeah. I think starting with the younger Maxine, I think the younger Maxine, and like any young woman out there, goes through a real serious journey in like their early 20s. I remember distinctly back to my uni days. You experiment, you're out there, you want to try and find yourself in your early 20s. And I do remember distinctly kind of not being very sure of myself back in my early 20s, if I'm to be honest. I do think there's a lot to be said about pain and things that people experience and the beautiful things that can come out of any form of loss or trauma. So I would honestly say, Renee, that my journey into becoming more of a businesswoman came off the back of a bereavement actually in 2018. I remember back in 2018, it was a real funny time for me. I'm being really honest with the audience, I went through counseling, and it was a time for me to really unpick where I want my life to go. I think until you really experience loss, you don't necessarily understand what life is actually about, that life can end kind of, literally rapidly. So yeah, I think during my 20s, I always knew that I had a passion for talking. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy building relationships. In my early 20s, I became a mum. So I became a mum at 24, which obviously made me, you just gain this whole realm of resilience that you wouldn't necessarily get if I possibly didn't have a child. I feel that the birth of my son almost forced me into becoming the person that I am as well. So I would definitely say becoming a mum and having to pay the mortgage, pay the bills. I was a single parent at the time. I still traveled with him, and I was determined to give him a life that even way more than that I could have. And then following on from becoming a mum, I then went into I was a manager actually very young. Kind of in my mid-20s, I became a manager. My team rapidly grew. I was managing a team of 10, working full-time with my son, determined once again to give him a really good future. And then from that, unfortunately, in 2018, had the bereavement, and that's when I said, I'm dropping all this kind of 9 to 5, and I call it slavery. I know it sounds really bad, but we are depending on our monthly wage. We become very comfortable. We're working for somebody else and we're not pursuing our dreams. And I definitely said there needs to be a balance where, yes, I'm paying my bills, but also I'm pursuing something for me, so that life doesn't just go past me and I haven't achieved something for myself. I'm achieving something for somebody else and bringing in revenue for their company, but what am I actually doing for me? So yeah, the conclusion is a lot of beautiful things are born out of pain, and until you go through a point where you have to sort yourself out or you're forced back into I need to make a change, nothing really would happen. So that's it, and that's why I love your page, because a lot of the women that I know that supports I Am Beautiful are experiencing not your average experience. They might be low in confidence and these type of things. So it's that uncomfortability actually that brings them to such a beautiful place. So yeah, that's my conclusion on that one. I hope I've kind of covered the question.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think speaking on the idea of uncomfortability as well, just off the back of that, why do you reckon uncomfortability can cause us to make such life-changing decisions, and instead of retreating, should I say?
I think it's okay to retreat, but just don't stay there. I think a lot of things happen are going to happen. Life was never sold to us as being easy. Anything that comes too easy is not going to be worth it. That's what my dad and my mum both say to me. If you want something, Maxine, you're going to have to go out there and really fight for it. But it's about not staying there. So if you are being made uncomfortable because of your finances, you're going to work and you're not enjoying it, you're not being fulfilled, you're not being paid what your value, there comes a point where that uncomfortability, you have to act. But it's about, obviously, with that, you need the right tools, mentally, spiritually, the right support network. But I'll definitely say it's okay to have a down moment, but just don't live there. That's not your narrative. It's okay to try and change your narrative and try and do something different with your life.
So powerful. I definitely agree.
Thanks, Renee.
So powerful. I think definitely when you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, it's almost like you've got a decision to make where it's one way or the other. But I like the fact that you said, even if sometimes you do slightly retreat or feel like, gosh, I'm not sure what to do, just try not to stay in that position.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. And you know, I'm quite fortunate that I've got my friends. They probably even some of them are on the live now. They're like my sisters, and my partner as well. I feel like I'm very fortunate that, and this is the determining factor. Who is your circle? Who's your community? Your community actually determines a lot of your success. Your network, your community, to uplift you, to maybe see something in yourself that you don't even see. I remember watching Isla's interview with you actually recently, and her family, that holiday that she went on, I'm sure they encouraged her and said, come on, Isla, you can do this. You can really achieve what you want to achieve. So sometimes other people might see something in you that you might not even see.
Wow.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And I think I like also the fact that you've mentioned, you know, your surroundings can also make a massive difference.
Big time.
What you do. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I found a quote. We're going to move on to another question.
Okay.
I found a quote which says, you have to set goals that are almost out of reach. If you set a goal that is attainable without much work or thought, you are stuck with something below your true talents and potential. So my question to you is, why do you think setting goals are so super important?
Okay, so in terms of the first point, I definitely think there's something to be said about making some goals that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, something like a long-term vision that you want to achieve. But I believe in a lot in kind of when I do my strategy sessions with clients is about looking at the very smaller steps. So making small steps towards the larger vision is the best way to do things. So maybe looking at and the structure that I'll always encourage people to use is that you might have a longer term goal, but what are your weekly, monthly, quarterly, the daily habits actually that are going to get you to the longer term goal? So for example, if you've got a goal, Renee, I don't know, to start a business in the next maybe year, putting yourself, you know, knowing full well that probably by next year you would have registered the company, had everything in place that you need to have in place. What small habits are you going to change on a day-to-day basis? Is it going to be looking at your daily marketing? Are you looking at your finances? You know, so I definitely think that, yes, have that uncomfortable long-term goal, but be safe and comfortable in knowing that with the smalls every day can get you a lot closer. And even if you start them now, you'll be surprised in 6 months when you look back, you're like, wow, I can really tick these off. These have now become just normal behaviors for me now, no longer kind of a task. They've actually just become normal habits for me.
So true. I think so often we might write things like vision goals, vision plans, which I see, or even just goals in general. But how often do we go, okay, what are the steps to get there, as opposed to what I need to get to, but not sure how I'm going to go there.
That's right.
Which is why I'm glad you've touched on the small steps make a huge difference.
Because sometimes when it seems a bit too large, Renee, it seems unachievable. But say, for example, you said within 3 months, I want to have developed my marketing strategy. That gives you a lots of reasonable amount of time to put every last bit in place, rather than saying, okay, within a year, I'm going to have a business set up. It throws you off mentally, like, oh, how is this even possible? Focus on the smaller one. Get that first quarterly goal out of the way. Okay, right, I'm on the first major hurdle. Then you go for the next. And always visualize what that business is going to look like. Who am I? Like, really visualize what my role is going to be within that business. And then it kind of brings it to life on a day-to-day.
Such good advice.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to another one based off this as well. I guess we've kind of touched on it slightly, but what practical advice would you give to someone who would like to set goals in regards to dreams and aspirations? So I know you've touched on the idea of making sure that you've also got attainable goals in between getting to that.
That's right.
You've also touched on the friendship group that you're around can make a massive difference. What else do you think can allow you to get to that stage where you're achieving?
Okay, so without recapping, obviously, as you said, on stuff that I've touched, I think the only way that you're going to achieve your goals is if you're doing something that you love to do. There are a lot of people out there that that pursue a particular route for either money, recognition. I would just say just for the wrong reasons. I think the main thing to do is to really focus on your passion, what you're good at, what you naturally can do without having to go over and above, because it's just not necessary. And the thing is, it won't be sustainable. If you are going to have a long-term vision goal that you want to achieve that is not aligned with the person that you are, it's going to become a chore. Every day, you're not going to want to change those habits. You're not going to want to, follow that dream unless you know what your passion is, what you're good at, where your skills lie, and how can I align my goals with who I am as a person. I think that is really the crux of it. Just don't have a vision outside of, oh, I've seen someone else do that, I can do that, or they're making loads of money, let me try and jump on that. Being true to just yourself and just knowing what you're good at.
So important. And like you said, a lot of the times, unless it is something you're passionate about, it will feel like a job.
That's right.
So why put yourself in a position where you've got all these amazing gifts that you're naturally good at,
that's right,
putting them to the side.
That's right.
Focusing in on those things. I think that's really, really important. Definitely. I know someone's asked a question. Let me see what it says.
Okay.
It says, I'm not sure if I'll be able to read all of it. Let me see. Hi, Maxine. I don't suppose you know anything about starting a charity or social enterprise.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Actually, strangely, I'm supporting a client at the moment. Myself and Kwame secured a new client recently who is literally going through that exact process. So I've started to do my research, because we also have a CIC registered for the business here, for the restaurant, and also for the training company. So I'm well versed in the legalities and also how to apply for funding and that type of thing. So, by all means, if they want to reach out to me and they want to arrange a one-to-one, I am more than happy to do that. So just send me a little DM and we can arrange that.
Perfect. Hopefully that answered your question, who asked that. DM Maxine, just happy to get into that conversation with you.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to move on to another question. I know that you specialize, which you mentioned, on things like basically strategic management, business growth, career building, and so forth. And I know that when I was at school, when I was told to pick like my GCSEs, my A-levels, sometimes I was a bit confused, like, what should I do? I know I'm good at quite a few things, but how do I home in on the specifics? Because there was only like, I think A-levels, you could only pick 3 or 4, or
that's
GCSEs.
Right.
They're very specific. So I guess, what advice would you give to someone who's a student, I guess, who may be gifted in a range of subjects, and is trying to, I guess, still build their career and aspirations, but is unsure on the type of subjects they want to pick?
Okay, I get you. So that is literally a minefield, isn't it, Renee? So I think that me now, in obviously being 10 years on from even college or university, I would just say that try and pick subjects that you enjoy. And it goes back to, if you're going to do your vision and your goal setting, there's a misconception, I think, at college age, that you have to do these really studious subjects, i.e. the science, the maths and the business studies, because it looks good, and that, and physics, there's a range of subjects, and I'm sure Renee, that just look good on paper, but not necessarily what you're passionate about. I do think that there's a lot to be said about, if you are a creative, then you follow that creative route. If you naturally have a flair and a passion for science, do science. There is a lot of pressure on young people, I think, at this moment, obviously with everything, with COVID and everything, and in school, that the subjects that you pick determines where you're going in life. It's absolute rubbish. Honestly, I think that studies and learning at the moment, at that age anyway, is teaching you more actually about comprehension. Are you an analytical person? Can you read a bit of text and actually put it into your own words? I definitely think there's a lot to be said around doing what you enjoy for now, and knowing that maybe university and post-university is that route that will possibly take you onto your career. Obviously, some people put themselves even under pressure, don't they, Renee, to do maybe 3-4 subjects, when really they may, or 5, when really they only need to do 3 or 2. So I would just say, hone in on where your skills are. Think really heavily about maybe doing some voluntary stuff outside of your studies to maybe develop if you want to get into a particular field. This is the time to really try. Yeah, it's the time to try things. Let me try volunteering with a charity. Let me try getting an internship with a bank or something similar so that I can really explore what type of environment suit me, where my skills lie, that type of thing. So, and if anyone wants any further advice about that, I'm happy to give it, but I just can't reiterate enough. Do what you love, and that's it. And do what you're good at, naturally. Don't force it. Don't force it. Don't force the business. Don't force business studies when really you're somebody else, you know, you really just want to do English lit. It's okay. Like, we just don't need to force it.
It's so true. And I feel like back in the day, if we had heard that, it just would have been so much better as well for some of the things that we may have chosen. And it's true.
Yeah, I did psychology. Yeah, Crystal says not by force. I did psychology at college actually, and I absolutely loved it because you know psychology is obviously so linked and aligned to who I am as a person. But guess what? It was full of statistics. And if I had known that, I would have said, oh, I just don't know if this is for me. Because I remember having to do crazy calculations. So do your research. Actually, what does this course actually entail? Does my skills actually align to what I'm going to do? Yeah.
So key. That's really good advice, honestly. And again, guys, I think the motto for that would be just don't force it. And like,
don't force
you know,
don't force anything in life, Renee, including your jeans as well. Let's just make sure everything fits properly as they should.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's so true. I think people need to believe in themselves a lot more as well, because there are gifts that you are genuinely just talented with, and sometimes we just kind of push them to the side when it comes to education.
That's
actually,
right.
This is when you should be really bringing them in. So I definitely agree. Definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to another question I've got here. It says, what top tips would you give to students or young adults in preparing for an interview? So this is slightly different.
Oh.
So we've got to the stage of getting.
The interview. Right. So top tips. I would definitely say there's a process. There's a kind of like a formula in regards to preparing for an interview. So from the point that you do your application, and this is where a lot of young people go wrong, having a standard a standard cover letter, like a one shoe fits all approach when it comes to applying for work, is probably just a complete and utter waste of time. An employer likes to see that your personal statement or your cover letter is tailored specifically for that job, specifically for the role. You know about the company, you can drop some gems about their values and their recent statistics, and I saw that you won an award in X. People like to see when managers are really being thorough in their selective process, they like to see that your cover letter and your personal statement is tailored to them. Off the back of that, cheeky little tips. I've always encouraged my clients to go on LinkedIn, find who your potential manager might be. You can get their email address some way, somehow, and you send them a personal email or a LinkedIn message. I've recently applied for your role. I am so passionate and excited about my potential interview. Please consider me. You might even want to give them some further information about recent things that you've been doing. Other little ways to get in. So you've also got things like, you know, if you've been able to do any voluntary work, or just, you know, giving back your time. If you want to get into a particular industry, try and volunteer your time so you can get that out on your CV. In terms of preparing for an interview, and a lot of interview nows are over Zoom, and it's just so strange because I find this, honestly, I find this experience really weird. Renee, right now I want to touch you, I want to pull your hair, I want to do everything. We couldn't do any, I couldn't even meet and greet. So interviews for young people at the moment is even more of a strange experience because they're probably sat at home, very stiff, very nervous. I think the most you can do is practice, and plan well ahead of time. So we have young people, so unfortunately they don't plan very well. They might rock up late to an interview. You might as well write off the job. Honestly, rocking up late to an interview is probably the worst thing that you can do. And also not having awareness of the company. Companies, it's for their ego. They like to know that you've researched about them, that you're aware of what they've done, what they've achieved, what you're gonna bring to the table. And also another key tip for interviews is having live examples. Too many times have I seen it time and time again, because obviously I've interviewed before and I've recruited for my team. Time and time again you hear, tell us why you're suitable for the role. Loads of adjectives are thrown out. I'm organized, I'm assertive, I'm diligent, I'm a team player. What does that mean? What does it mean? Unless you're going to say things like, when working at X, I delivered X, I went over and beyond my role by doing X. It brings alive this so-called adjective, this adjective that you're throwing out there. If you're going to say to me that you're organized, you need to be able to demonstrate, when given this task, I was extremely organized when demonstrating X. So it's about having live, solid examples of how you've demonstrated that skill. Yeah, and just knowing your manager. The managers love that. If someone's done research about me, hi Maxine, I've had a look on your LinkedIn, I've known that you've been doing X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden, my ego's there. And this person is showing me that they only want this job. They're like, oh, they must not be applying anywhere else. They're only going for me. So, yeah, there's definitely a few little tips to go over and above and make sure that your name, they keep seeing your name when it comes to applying for that role. But preparation, Renee, is everything. Writing down, practicing. Even if you've got to talk to your cat, you sit down and you practice that interview back to front with those live examples. People also like to see in interviews that you bring innovation, ideas that you're going to bring to the table. Okay, within my first 3 months, God willing, I get through probation. These are the ideas that I would like to bring on to drive sales, to increase productivity, to increase efficiency, and coming with some really live, innovative ideas that maybe the company haven't thought of. So yeah, so they would be some of my tips.
You've given us so much.
Yeah, is everyone writing that down?
No, that's honestly excellent. I've never heard of the idea of reaching out beforehand to the manager or anything. I think that's such a good idea.
I actually secured a job. Sorry to cut you, Renee. I actually secured a job that way. So I've gone for a role recently, doing a bit of freelance work, and I know that I applied for this role. I knew it was going to be really popular because of the salary and everything that was about the role. And I did my research. I found out who my potential manager may be. I wrote them. I wasn't too sure, so I sent them both an email to say, right, there's some bits that I couldn't include in the application, and I did a really juicy cover letter. I think a week later, I sent them another follow-up email, haven't heard anything, I'm really keen. Then I got the interview, and then I felt like I had a bit more of a rapport. So yeah, definitely works. Sometimes just put your pride to one side. If you want that job, you better fight for that job, because there's so many people now applying for work. It's crazy.
That's so true.
Yeah, you've got to really stand out from everybody else.
And do you think, going off the back of the cover letter thing, that one's touched me, because I can't lie, there have been times when I've just changed the name of the company and it's like, gosh, they can pick those things up very quickly.
Right, so literally within, and the thing is, there's some science around this, that they can usually tell within about something like 5 or 10 seconds that an employer is going to be picking you or not. If your opening sentence is, I've applied for the strategic manager's role at such and such because, the next sentence is, when looking at your values and your learning and development strategy, this is a place that I really want to be, because when working at such and such, I gain skills that are suitable for this role, because all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, wow. Even if you have to spend that extra 20 minutes, you're far more likely to be considered, at least for the interview,
That's excellent. Honestly, really, really good advice. And I like the fact that you said, put your pride aside, sometimes go the extra mile.
This is the one time we have to force it. We have to force it a little bit with that situation. I don't say force it in any other way, but in this situation, if you want that job, you need to really, make it known to the employer, this job is for me.
So important. I'm going to move on to another question I've got here. And it says that a lot of us probably have written a CV before, or may even be writing one currently, and some form of personal statement, which I guess we've touched on. What advice would you give to a teenager, however, who may be leaving university, or maybe going into college, but then trying to look for a job as well when they get out, in marketing their skills and qualities, abilities on their CV, even if it's for the first time? So what are the don't need that on the CV, or definitely?
Exactly. I always think, I know it sounds a bit strange, but at the age, if you're coming out of university or college and you don't have any experience, it's about getting your personality across a bit more. I think, unfortunately for young people, they feel that they need to go very corporate with their CV, and I support some young people at the moment, and I always say, let your personality come across a bit more in your personal statement, and especially about the skills that you might have outside of the role. So for example, the college that I do some freelance for at the moment, they're very creative. It's a creative college, and they love creating music, and they do music production as an example. And I say to them, right, you might be going for a retail job now because you need to earn some money. However, try and demonstrate all of the things that you're passionate about outside of your the role that you're going for. I also would say at the earliest opportunity, whenever it comes available, volunteer. Young people, it's free trade. No one really likes to go to work and not get paid. However, there's a longer term, if you have a longer term vision about where you want to be, offer your time to an employer and let them give you a chance. And with that, you'll be able to get your first reference. So what happens a lot of the time is a lot of young people, they come out of college or university without any experience. So what you're saying to an employer effectively on your CV is that, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I need you to give me a chance. But if you're willing, which is risky, because there will be young people out there that have volunteered at their local community centre, they volunteered at doing some gardening, they've done some digital marketing for a friend, they're managing someone's social media account, they're doing something on the side, even if it's like doing creating content, proofreading. There is so many little things that young people can do, and always they would be able to, there's little platforms that you can use to register as an intern, to gain experience, to show that employer that I was given a task, I followed it through, I developed X amount of skills, and I can put it on my CV. And I've also got someone that can vouch for me, i.e. you can contact them and they'll be able to give me a reference to say that I did that. So that is my top tip. If they're finding it difficult to get work, pause the job hunting, go out there, get a voluntary placement in a sector that they want to get into, and then go again.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent advice. I know when I was younger, I think we did what was it called? So we had like a week where you would work somewhere else.
That's it.
Yeah. I don't know if they do that anymore. That's the thing. But
because of COVID, I'll be honest, Renee, it is tricky, but the joys of it are now is that they could do their work experience from their bed. You can get little remote working opportunities, reach out to little companies. Hi, I'm trying to gain my experience. What can I do for you for free? I just want to gain my experience in maybe content creation. I've always wanted to get into digital marketing. Can you give me some support with that? And you'll be surprised how many companies are willing to, to take young people on, give them a chance.
So true. And I think that's perfect advice as well for someone who hasn't had a job before, to just volunteer. Because like you said, where would you get your first reference from? The more I think about it only would have come from when I'd volunteered at that specific job at the very beginning. So that's excellent advice. Definitely.
It's your way in. And then in terms of demonstrating your skills, another top tip, don't lie. There's just no point in. There's no point putting, I'm an excellent team player, I've got amazing communication, I've got excellent interpersonal skills, when you just don't, because it comes across straight away to an employer. So, if you are generally just more of an introverted type of person, you're a bit more, guess what? I'm great at data analysis. I'm good at, I'm a bit more analytical. I take my time, I'm a bit more diligent. There's adjectives that you should use. Don't missell yourself to an employer, because there's just no point. The darkness always comes to light. There's just no point. And an employer knows that if you are young, you're 16, you're just out at 16 to 18 or 19, you just come out of college, you don't have these range of skills. You know, there's a way of wording it as a young person that you can still demonstrate that I'm a determined person. I want to learn. I've got a willingness to learn. That stuff is more effective than the other adjectives that just don't apply, you know?
So true. And again, guys, it goes back, just don't force it. Unless it's but
I feel like that's going to be our conclusion of today, Renee. Like, don't force it. That's going to be our conclusion of today. Just don't force anything in life.
Literally.
Yeah.
I've got another question for you. And sadly, we're coming slightly towards the end, but I've got a couple more questions for you. I know that you offer courses on like business support and strategies for like upcoming entrepreneurs and businesses that they've got. What advice would you give someone who has probably already left school, who would actually like to become an entrepreneur, and they've decided, actually, I don't want to go to university. I want to pursue this business in, whether it's starting a marketing company or doing freelance art or whatever it is. What would you give, advice?
Because I'm conscious of time, and obviously if anyone wants any further support from me, following this, then I'm more than open to do it. I would definitely say the main thing is that, and how I had to do it anyway, I can only talk from my own experience, and what I encourage everyone is to phase your way into, there's a phasing process that you have to go through. I would never advise anyone straight from university or college to just go straight into business. I would always say, there's the role that you might have to take to pay your bills, to sustain yourself, to even get yourself off the ground, to even get your business set up. So for example, I worked for many years as a manager. I was on a very good salary, but what I then did is I knew it wasn't my passion point, but I would put money aside every month to make sure that I can invest in my business. You don't want to start your business in debt. You want to start it with, even if it's a 5K, a couple of K, it depends on what idea they have, but enough money to get your business off the ground. Okay, that's the first thing. So I'd always say, until you know that your business is viable and you've tested your business and you know that there's a need for your business, you haven't just got an idea in your head, and you don't know whether it's a profitable business, and trial it first. That's the first thing. And in the background, while you're trialing it and you're making sure that it actually is a viable business, then you're earning your money and you're working maybe part-time, full-time, whatever you can manage on the side. When you know it's a viable business, it's at that point that you start to put things in place, and then you can start to phase your way out of the employment that you're in. So I'll definitely say that writing down, what am I passionate about? Is this role, is this business sustainable? You might even want to put yourself together a rough business plan to make sure that if I'm going to leave my 9 to 5, my solid income, that I'm actually going to make sure that it's a viable, that's going to be able to cover my overheads and my lifestyle. And if it's not, that's okay, because what you can also do is work on the side, go part-time like I did, and I've also gone freelance. I'm not stupid, I've got a mortgage to pay. Business, as you know, during COVID, you're up here one month and you're down here the next. It's literally, it is that, and you need to be comfortable with that. But if you're able to also have something that you can just do on the side and earn and earn a wage, you can also phase your way into going full-fledged with your business. And that's the advice I would give.
And I think that's solid advice. Specifically because there's oftentimes, like you said, entrepreneurs get ideas and I want to go and do this, but has it been tested? How often do you ask yourself as an early stage of being an entrepreneur, have I actually tested this? Do I know people actually need this?
That's
Is
right.
this going to work? As opposed to, right, stopping tomorrow, you're not going to see me again at
That's
6,
right.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. So I definitely think that is it. Test it, trial it, test it on friends, family, find out if there's a need, do your market research, and then look at month on month, what are the potential returns that I can get from this business? And if it's not a viable business, honestly, Renee, that is still okay, because sometimes with my training, it doesn't pay me the most, but guess what? It ticks a massive box for me sometimes because it's what I love doing. So it's okay to have something that you do that can bring you some money, that is not also your full-time business. Like the restaurant, the restaurant, between the restaurant, between other businesses that I have, we're more than fine. But I'll be stupid to just focus on one avenue without knowing that it's, going to bring me immediate return. And sustainable is this word sustainability, because you know something might be buzzing now, but is it going to be buzzing in the winter? Is it going to be buzzing in December when no one's got any money? You need to make sure that that business is more than sustainable in all kinds of, you know,
environments.
what goes on. Yeah, exactly.
So important.
Yeah.
Excellent advice. I know someone asked, will it be recorded? Yeah, this will be recorded definitely, so you guys can rewatch it, and we'll also try and get it onto YouTube as well. Gosh, you've given me so much advice for myself, let alone everyone else watching the live. And I've come to my final question, actually. What advice would you give to those of us that are tuned in and watching right now? I guess for someone who's on their journey of making their dreams a reality, what advice would you just give? So they're not at the, sometimes I don't feel like we get to this finale stage of, right, I'm stuck now. But if you're on that journey and you're just beginning, what advice would you give to them?
I would definitely say that there's two key points. Number one, do not watch anyone but yourself. Only focus on yourself. Every journey, or the journey that we're going through in life, everyone's chapters, circumstances, decisions, choices, everyone is completely different. So I can't stress it enough. If I spent my time going through Instagram or, you know, my LinkedIn and really compare myself to other coaches, other business strategists, other business owners, it would really put me down, because guess what? Also, what people portray out there is not necessarily fact as well. So always keep that in the forefront of your mind. I would definitely say that the only thing that keeps you going and to make your business sustainable is to ensure that it's something that you love doing, that you could actually wake up and do it for free. It's almost like payment for what you do would almost be a bonus, because you're doing what you love. You are going to lose your mojo. You're going to lose your motivation. There's going to be times when your mood and obviously life just comes in the way. So unless you are doing something that you naturally do, you know, within your own skill set and your personality, and it aligns with who you are, there is absolutely no point. So the main thing I would say is really look at this business idea and think about, okay, right, there's elements of this business idea that I know is really good, but I need to tweak it to ensure that it's going to be sustainable and it's aligned with who I am as a person. And that is literally the formula. Doing what you love and making money from what you love. And that's it. And that's really about it.
If I had like an audience, I'd get everyone to click, because the advice you've given throughout this life, I don't think you realize how inspirational it is, and not just inspirational, how practical it is. You've given some advice which I don't think people end up getting sometimes, even though they're going through the motions of the working life.
That's
so
right.
It's been really, really informative.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you. Definitely. And I hope everyone that stayed tuned in, because I saw that it stuck at like maybe 20, which is really good. I'm hoping all 20. I hope you guys all benefited from this. And as you know, as me and Renee said, if you guys want any follow-up advice and support, reach out to me. I'm more than happy. And I suppose the parting thoughts are: one, don't force it, because there's just no need to force anything in life. Don't force anything. Relationships, your business, your finances. Stay true to yourself. Understand who you are as a person. What skills have you naturally got? If you are a creative, focus on being a creative. Like, why do you feel that you need to go down a path or a route? We're only here on this planet for a period of time. What's the point in doing a 9-to-5 or a job that is not aligned with who we are as people? Even if it means having like a step back on salary. But guess what? I'm going to a job that I actually really enjoy. And then the other thing is, test and trial your business and make sure that it's a sustainable, viable idea before going out there and risking your mortgage or your living circumstances, or put yourself in debt over something that is not aligned with who you are and it's not sustainable.
So important and so key. Maxine, I have thoroughly enjoyed this discussion, and to those of you watching, this isn't the end. That's all I'm going to say. And hopefully next year there is going to be a few things that will be happening in regards to I Am Beautiful, and definitely Maxine as well. So stay tuned for that.
We've got some
Honestly,
master classes, haven't we, Renee, that we're going to try and host, that you guys can see us on like a monthly basis, dropping gems, talking about different subjects. So, you know, if you need that initial support to get your idea off the ground, or just need general support, that will be coming up soon.
Definitely. So stay tuned. I know your businesses are going through mytraining.org. Guys, check it out. Especially if you've got a business. Maxine has said, you know, she does do one-to-ones, and also It's a Vibe food. I mean, I still need to go down there. So
yeah,
check it out.
We've got space upstairs. Anyone that wants to host their birthday party or a little COVID compliant gathering, if they would like to, then come down to the restaurant. We're based in Peckham, but follow us on It's a Vibe food, and it is literally a vibe. Music, good food, strong drinks. That's what we love.
Thank you so much, Maxine.
Yeah.
And
thank you guys.
to everyone.
Thanks for having me. All right then, Renee, and we'll catch up afterwards. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.